Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video on physics versus favoritism. One of the pitfalls of running games is balancing the rules of the game and the laws of physics with the player's incessant, almost maniacal need to bend those rules and laws to their will. A lot of them think that they should get away with it because of friendship or because they're special or whatever. I've seen this so many times it borders on stereotypical. Before I get into that though, if you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you could hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content on all of your social media platforms, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments even if you disagree with me. Friends can still disagree. And check me out over on Rumble for my political commentary and weekly current events. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page on Amazon.com. My pen name is H.L. Anderson. You can find all of my books there, including the ones pictured here, Vanguard 1 and Task Force Terminus. There's the first two in a series. The third one is called Gulag of the Damned. I'm working on the fourth one now. This is the Devo Poland Chronicles. Devo Poland is a Gandhiri alien, and the entire thing is a study of humanity from an alien perspective. I think somewhere along the line it morphed into a story about a space war, but at any rate, check out my author page, H.L. Anderson. There's a lot of other stuff there as well. Find something you like, and I hope you enjoy reading it. All right, here we go. Physics and favoritism. That's what I'm going to call this. Physics and favoritism. Before I continue, I need to clarify what I mean. Roleplay, character development, and player-character interaction with themselves and non-player characters is both necessary and encouraged. It is imperative. Each player must be given equal time, or as equal a chance as possible, to roleplay their character and to interact with NPCs, other PCs, and their environment. That much is not in dispute. The problem comes when that roleplay defies the laws of physics. The laws of physics in your world must be concrete. This video is pertaining to those players who, for whatever reason, try to monopolize game time, curry favor with you, the Dungeon Master, and give themselves every conceivable advantage, even at the expense of others and at the expense of your world. One of the main things you need to impress on your players right from the get-go is that these pesky little laws of physics have to apply. You don't have to use the laws of physics in our world. You can change them if you want, but you have to make sure every player understands them. I do not recommend you change the laws of physics for your world. Any little change can create fundamental differences in reality, and when you have to have a common frame of reference. Whatever rules you need, you use, those rules have to be concrete and immutable. If you use the rules of the laws of physics from our reality, the real world, everybody has a frame of reference. If you use different rules and they're concrete, the reality of your world is going to be different. Not as in, well, look, those trees are orange. But rather, why does gravity work differently? Where magnetism doesn't work, what? That kind of thing. The laws of physics have to be concrete. And they have to be laws of physics that every player can understand and identify with. It's better just to keep them the same as in our real world. That way, and there's a bonus to that, and I talked about this in other videos. If the laws of physics don't apply, how do you know magic works? Because magic, by definition, breaks the laws of physics. All right? It's best, in my opinion, to simply leave the laws of physics as is. And again, I've discussed the laws of physics in other videos. Go and check them out. The players who I'm talking about, we're getting into that now. Players who monopolize game time are doing a disservice to the other players. That much is obvious. But such tactics can seriously undermine your game. A player who insists on his character performing a long and tedious task is a viable possibility, but the problem comes when that player insists that the game master pay sole attention to them while they're doing this long and tedious task. That one player will be ecstatic while the rest of the group is bored silly. And by the way, rules have to apply equally to everybody. You have to treat all the players equally. So the next time another player wants to do one of these long, tedious tasks, you have to stay there with them as well. You see how that works? You got to nip that in the bud right away. I'm going to remind you of the video that I made where the guy dug the ditch and got mad when I worked with the other players. He got mad and left. And it was no great loss because he was a crappy player to begin with, but still. You need to make sure that every player understands that the time their character spends doing any task, especially a long one, will put them in a kind of limbo until the task is completed. If they still want to do it, then that's on them. Okay? The issue that I have there, the way I deal with that is I use time as a measuring stick. Player A wants to do something that's going to take 5 hours. Player B wants to do something that takes an hour. Player C is doing a bunch of small tasks that take 10 minutes. Well, every 10 minutes you can go back to that in game time. Every 10 minutes you can go back to the player C and ask, okay, are you doing anything else? Okay, boom, still going. Boom, 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 boom. Until that first hour is up, and then you can join that character with player B. And okay, now what are you guys doing? Blah, 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 blah. When the 5 hours is up, you can join them with player A, and now the group's all back together. Player A is going to be bored during that time, but hey, they chose to do that task. Sometimes tasks like that are necessary parts of the game, but it's the nature of the beast. Then there are those players who seem to want to be your favorite. I had a player, somebody really wants to get in touch with me. I had a player in a game about 30 years ago who insisted on bringing me food and desserts and all kinds of goodies. Not for the group, mind you, just for me, the dungeon master. Then she started asking me out to eat and to the movies and such. She wasn't romantically inclined towards me, mind you. She just wanted extra attention and preferred treatment in the game. It sounds silly, but there are people in the world who are that shallow, that simple, that petty. Beware of it because other players will notice. I was running a game in North Carolina back in 2001. I had just moved into a new place and I was still unpacking and getting settled in. One of my players suggested that we play at his house that week because, until I get all settled in. And it seemed reasonable and the other players were okay with it, so I agreed. Once we started playing, that player who we were at his house tried to bully his way through various situations in the game using the mantra, "This is my house. We're in my house now." That worked for about the first half hour. I called the game and we quit for the evening. After the other players left, I was packing up my stuff and I pulled him aside and I actually explained to him what he had done that was inappropriate. He actually got mad at me for that. He started yelling and saying how since it was his house, I had to play the way he wanted me to. I just finished packing up my stuff and I grabbed it and I left. Nobody tells me how to run my game. Nobody. I don't care whose house we're in. My game is mine. Period. Okay? That's the way you should treat your game. Now, constructive criticism, amen. We can all improve. I'm okay with that. But demanding I play my game some other player's way simply because we're in their house, no, that don't cut it. It's time to go. We never played at his house again. He didn't last long. We didn't play. He didn't play in my game very much after that, and that was okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that in this video is that there are immature and petty players out there, and you need to make sure no player is able to curry any favor or bend the game to their benefit. Players will try to role play around the laws of physics. They'll try to well, you remember when I gave you that ride to work the other day? Well, now you need to play favorites with me now. No, that don't cut it. That don't cut it. There are those that will try, and you need to make sure that they fail. It's that simple. I know this video was kind of all over the place, and I apologize for that. But this is a video that needed to be made. Now it's out of the way. I can go on to other stuff now. Anybody else has any other stories about stuff like this or any other information? Stick that in the comments. I'm sure we'd all love to read them. Remember, these videos are supposed to be advisor videos, informational videos, and I certainly do not know everything. So if anybody else has anything else to add, please put it in the comments. I'm sure we'd all love to read them. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.